Chapter 23. When my shift ended, I nearly flew out to my car. I couldn't have left over 10 footprints on the actual ground. I had a story to tell and a surprise in store for my parents. Even the traffic lights seemed eager to get me home as they bathed my car in green at every intersection. My mother's last few years have been miserable. Rheumatoid arthritis stole the enjoyment from her life. She danced through her younger years and even went back to it once I was out of the house. My dad was like me. He'd prefer to sit at a table and watch the others have a good time, but my mom didn't know that. She loved to dance, and he loved her, so he danced with her any time he could. Unfortunately, that ended 2 years ago when her rheumatoid arthritis progressed to the point it took longer to recover from dancing than it did to learn a new routine. Now, their choreographed moves consisted of transfers from bed to wheelchair and back again. But that's about to change. I pulled into the driveway and parked behind my dad's car. He never pulled far enough forward and made the next car stick out over the sidewalk. Normally, I'd park in the street or move his car forward, but today that could wait. I had more important things to do. "There's my little lifesaver," said my mom when I walked in the door. She pursed her lips and held her chin up. I bent down and accepted her kiss on my cheek, and then hugged my dad. Addison sat at the kitchen table, flanked by 4 glasses of white wine and some sort of purple drink in front of Aaron. The condensation on the glasses told me I didn't get home as fast as I thought I had. I rubbed Aaron's head and sat down next to my wife, who slid a glass of wine in front of me. "So let's hear it," she said. "I didn't plan dinner since it sounded like you'd want to go out and celebrate." "You're right, I do. But first, let me tell you what happened." I took a sip of wine to wet my lips and then dove into the story. I told them about how sick Eli was when he showed up and how nothing was working, how crushed his parents were as the inevitability of the outcome became more apparent. I stood up to amplify my delivery. But then, I realized it was time to step out in faith. I truly believe God gave me the gift to heal anyone, and this was the moment to test it. I glanced around the room and saw every unblinking eye glued to me, exactly the poses an ER doc loved when he told a story. Admittedly, I didn't exactly make a leap of faith. I sort of baby-stepped through it. I raised my arm as if I were adjusting the IV drip and said the phrase. And then I waited. Then what happened? The question came from Aaron. Only 12 years old, but already interested in medicine. He loved listening to my stories from the ER, and today was no different. That's when God performed a miracle. Almost immediately, the patient regained a pulse. Within seconds, his vital signs improved dramatically. And I trailed my voice off to a whisper. That's when I passed out. Addison jumped out of her chair. "What? Why did you pass out? Were you okay?" Her eyes scanned me from head to toe, looking for new wounds or worsening of my nearly healed ones. Yes, I was fine and back on my feet after a few minutes. I think the emotion of everything just hit me hard. It was at that moment that I knew it was true. I really had received the gift. 10 minutes later, the kid who had died from asthma was awake and off the ventilator. I'd never seen anything like it in my life. "That's because it's not a part of this life," said my mother. "It's part of the afterlife. No more sickness." She looked down at her hands, shriveled up, as if mangled in an industrial accident. "No more pain." She looked back up at me. "You have brought a piece of heaven back to earth, Cameron. You're going to change so many lives." Her voice broke. "I couldn't be more proud of you." "Me either," said Aaron. He stood and hugged me harder than he had in months. "Just don't go dying again, okay?" I still hadn't told them about the life expectancy issue. It wasn't relevant yet. Besides, I'd only used it one time, and I didn't feel any different. I chose laughter, as I often do. "I'll do my best, buddy." My dad hadn't spoken since I'd arrived home. He had become quite soft-spoken in the years since he'd become Mom's primary caretaker. There's something about completely submitting yourself to the needs of others that softened a personality. Not weakened, just softened their demeanor. Those family members were some of the strongest people I've ever met, my father included. "Dad, what do you think about all of this?" He swallowed. "It's amazing. I'd say it's unbelievable, but I don't doubt you for a minute. Your mother took the words right out of my mouth. I'm proud of you, and happy for the family that got their son back." I stood up and walked around the table. That's exactly what I want to do. Give people their lives back. I can't heal everyone. God was pretty clear about that. But I can heal a heck of a lot of people while I'm still here. I was halfway toward my mother and saw my dad's gaze shifting from her and back to me. I knew what he was thinking, but was too proud to ask for. Life isn't fair. We all know that. But I've received a gift that I can share with others. I can right some wrongs, give people a new lease on life. I put my hands on my mother's shoulders and leaned down toward her. "Mom, how would you like to be delivered from your rheumatoid arthritis? Are you ready to go dancing again?" "You can do that. I don't have to be dying for it to work." "I don't think so. He told me I could heal anyone of anything. Pretty sure Jesus had a special place in his heart for his mother, and I do too." "Are you sure it's not too much trouble? Does it hurt you at all?" My mom, always worried about me. She didn't need to know that it would take away a month of my life expectancy. I'd easily give up a month of my life to relieve my mother of her daily suffering. She had given up years of hers to raise me. It's the least I could do. So I answered a question she didn't ask. "Mom, I can't think of a reason not to do this. Are you ready?" My wife reached out and grabbed Aaron's hand. A few months shy of his 13th birthday, he normally wasn't interested in holding his mom's hand. But tonight, he squeezed it tightly. I felt my dad's hand move to my mom's back. He closed his eyes and dipped his head, probably praying for the 1,000th time for his wife to be healed. I raised my hand and smiled at my mother, eager to change her life forever. "I will restore you to health and heal your wounds, for the old order of things is passing away." When I'd finished speaking, she looked up at me. My father opened his eyes. Addison refused to relax her grip on Aaron. "Well, do you feel anything?" asked my father. "Not yet," she said. "Am I supposed to?" I didn't know how to answer. She's only my second person I'd healed. I didn't have it all figured out yet. "I'm sure you'll feel something soon. Just give it time." The next 15 minutes took at least 2 hours. I could tell my mom was becoming self-conscious as everyone stared at her and kept asking how she felt. "You know, it's getting late. I think it's time to head home." She grasped my hand and gave me a feeble squeeze. "Thank you for trying, son. I appreciate it." My dad stood up and retrieved her wheelchair. He helped her transfer into it and then pushed her toward the door. His shoulders slumped enough to draw attention away from his feet as they slid across the floor. "I'll call you tomorrow. Have a good night." I hopped up and followed them. "Let me help you get into the car." He raised a hand over his shoulder that held me in place. "No, I got it. I know how to take care of your mother. Been doing it for years." His words broke my heart. I know he'd been hoping for this moment ever since I shared my near-death experience. He'd hoped that his years of sacrificial love and devotion would take on a new phase. One of that looked more like their first 5 years of marriage, rather than their last 5. I glanced at Addison as my parents left. I mouthed the words, "What happened?" She raised her eyebrows and shook her head. I walked to the front door and watched until their taillights disappeared down the street. Family tradition. We always watch each other leave and wave as we pass. Except today. Dad didn't wave.